The men in black are typically described as wearing black suits, expressionless, cold, sinister beings. The men in black only seem to talk to two types of people: those who research UFOs and those who have actually seen one. They have been reported as appearing as FBI agents, sometimes even producing some sort of ID. However, their ID is absent a name and just has a number to identify them. They have been reported to threaten and scare people to remain silent about their UFO encounters and their research. Here are 5 of the most terrifying reports of the men in black. On October the 14th, 2008, near Niagara Falls, Canada, a hotel manager, Shane Savar, and hotel security guard reported seeing an enormous triangular-shaped object flying through the air outside of his hotel. Shane reported the shocking encounter to the UFO investigations team, who looked into the sighting. A few weeks went by and everything seemed to appear as normal. However, one morning, 2 unidentified men wearing full black suits with brimmed hats visited the hotel. The men in black terrified the hotel staff and insisted they talk to Shane and the hotel security guard who reported the sighting. 3 witnesses stated that they saw the men in black and felt intimidated by them. Luckily for Shane and the security guard, both men had the day off when the men appeared. When Shane came back to the hotel, he looked back at the security footage. He discovered that the hotel camera had managed to capture 2 men on tape. The 3 witnesses described the 2 men as wearing black suits, black hats, very pale skin, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, and very large eyes. Is this proof that the men in black exist? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Robert Richardson. Robert Richardson of Toledo, Ohio, informed the UFO Research Organization in 1947 that he had collided with a UFO while driving at night. Coming round a bend, he had been confronted by a strange object blocking the road. Unable to stop in time, he hit it, however not very hard. Immediately on impact, the UFO vanished. The police then accompanied Richardson to the smash. When they arrived at the scene, they found a small piece of metal which Richardson kept in his pocket. 3 days later, at 11 p.m, 2 men in their 20s appeared at Richardson's home and questioned him for around 10 minutes. They did not identify themselves, and Richardson, to his own surprise, did not ask who they were. They were not unfriendly, gave no warnings, and just asked questions. Upon their departure, he noted that they left in a 1953 black Cadillac. The number, when checked, was found not yet to have been issued. About a week later, Richardson received a second visit from 2 different men who arrived in a current model Dodge. They wore black suits, black hats, and although one spoke perfect English, the second had an accent. Richardson felt there was something strangely foreign about them. At first, they seemed to be trying to persuade him that he had not hit anything at all. However, they then asked him for the piece of metal. When he told them it had gone for analysis, they threatened him. If you want your wife to stay as pretty as she is, then you better get it back. The existence of the metal was only known to Richardson and his wife and 2 senior members of the APRO. Seemingly, the only way the strangers could have learned of its existence would be by tapping either his or the APRO's telephone. There was no clear connection between the 2 pairs of visitors. but what both had in common was access to information that was not freely and publicly available. Perhaps it is this that is the key to the Men in Black mystery. This encounter happened in New Jersey, 1968. Jack Robinson, a UFO investigator, was tormented by a mysterious man who would wait outside his window and stare into his property. One evening, after coming home from a meal outside with his wife, he reported that someone broke into his apartment. Nothing of material value was took. However, several pieces of Jack's research was missing. Having suspected the mysterious man, Jack hired his friend, who owned a camera, to try and take a picture of him. He succeeded and took this picture. Later, Jack received a phone call from the mysterious man, who stated that he would like to talk to him about his research. Jack accepted, and then immediately, the man appeared at his front door. Jack described the mysterious man as wearing all black, with a black hat, very pale skin and no eyebrows. He then insisted that Jack should stop his research and explained to Jack that his research is false. It was June the 21st, 1947, and Harold Dahl was on a fishing boat with his son and family friends when suddenly he spotted 6 donut-shaped objects flying above them. Everyone except Dahl returned to shore. Dahl hastily took some photographs. They all witnessed what seemed to be hot metal falling from one craft into the water. Curious, the dog ran towards the craft, but unfortunately, some of the liquid splashed onto Harold's dog, killing it. Harold's son also suffered bad burns. After he took his son to the hospital and got him checked out, Harold called his boss and explained what happened. He handed over the camera and showed him pictures of what he saw. His boss thought it was difficult to see clearly on the photo what was going on, but there was a clear object in the sky. Annoyed that his boss didn't really believe him, he went to the island to gather up some hot metal that he saw being put into the lake. Upon his arrival, he witnessed the craft again, circling above as if it was trying to watch him. The very next day, he was confronted by a man in a black suit who insisted he needed to talk to him about his sighting over breakfast. Harold followed the black car to the restaurant. Harold told the man what happened with the sightings and the death of his dog. The mysterious man didn't ask any questions, just stated that if he told anyone else about this incident, terrible things would happen to him and his family. Dahl, worried but not too intimidated, posted off his samples to a magazine publisher. Investigators contacted Dahl about his findings and wanted to visit him. However, on the way, their aeroplane mysteriously crashed, killing both men. On the plane, the men had the metal substance that Dahl had collected, along with the photographs that he took on the day. Could the plane have been shot down? Who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments. Albert K. Bender. This encounter is possibly one of the most well-known encounters to date. He was in the United States Air Force during World War II and was the founder of the International Flying Saucer Bureau and also edited a publication called the Space Review. He worked tirelessly day and night to prove that UFOs and extraterrestrials existed. During the year 1953, he made a handful of discoveries that led him to believe that there was a serious UFO cover-up. He was excited to publish what he researched in the Space Review. That's until one day he was approached by 3 pale-skinned, large-eyed men in black suits that insisted that he should stop his research immediately. They even said that if he published his research in the Space Review, they would put him in prison. Bender was flabbergasted of how they knew about his research and he immediately closed his bureau in fear of his life. Albert, in fear of his life, seized all involvement with researching of UFOs. Later, in a newspaper report, he stated that he feared for his own life and wasn't able to eat or sleep in fear. What's even more strange is that since the visit, Bender would suffer from terrible headaches that would almost make him go to sleep. A few years later, in 1963, Albert spoke a little bit more and labelled the mysterious men the Silencers. He wrote a book called The Flying Saucers and Three Men in Black. Whatever happened, it makes you think what would make a man who was obsessed with research suddenly give up and shut down his office. Most cases of UFOs and extraterrestrials are first-person accounts, and the Men in Black are no different. Are they real? Are they an arm of the government? Are they aliens disguised as humans? It comes down to what you believe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.